Oh, good morning. Hello, everybody. And good evening to Lee. And welcome to this first episode of our Move, Sweat, and Suffer podcast. I've got the incredible Mr. Lee Hazard and myself, Joe, here based in Auckland, New Zealand. Um, we're excited, man. We're just a couple of guys that enjoy moving and sweating and suffering to try to achieve what we want to do. And we've noticed this massive community, very supportive, very positive, and we've decided that we would like to try to connect and catch up and bring these people together in the hopes of not only continuing to support them on their journey, but also to maybe through their stories can help inspire and uplift other people that may be struggling or maybe going through their own issues. And this could potentially be a way to help them move forward and make progress in whatever shape, way, or form that might take. So today we've got our first guest, Mr. Lee Hazard, as I mentioned. And right now, brother, I'm just going to sort of hopefully hand over to you for a little bit and allow you to introduce yourself to the audience, and then we'll dive into some questions and stuff from there so we can get to know you a bit more. How's that sound?
That sounds good, mate. Well, my name's Lee Hazard, and I'm a fitness instructor by trade. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Michaela. I've got three lovely children that take up the majority of my time.
When we see them
And
in the videos.
yeah, I like to get them involved in the videos, usually because I don't have any other options at points, particularly when I'm watching them during the day when my wife's at work. So I've had to construct a system where I'm babysitting and performing burpees at exactly the same time, which is probably one of the most difficult jobs I've ever had to do in my life.
I bet.
But if you've seen the Kevin Hart comedy skit, you'll see that dads just listen out for shit. They don't watch kids, they just listen for shit. And that's definitely my style of babysitting right now. So it's tough. So, but yeah, I also consider myself a Burpee practitioner now. It's a endeavour it's taken over my life to some degree. It's completely changed the path I've been on. Fitness has always been a major part of my life, and the path has been diverted somewhat through lockdown induced abstinence from exercise and having to find stuff that I could use to accommodate with the conditions that were unfortunately forced upon us due to the pandemic and so forth.
Man.
So,
Sorry, yeah, carry on.
so yeah, that's pretty much a brief introduction as to where I'm at nowadays and how obviously both like myself and yourself have crossed paths, and which brings us
Yeah.
to this momentous occasion.
This, yeah. I love it. Yes, this momentous occasion, mate. I was sent, or I had seen and observed your channel through following a gentleman by the name of Triple B. I think his name is actually Rob, but Body by Burpees. I just call him Triple B. 61-year-old gentleman, legend of a man. Watching him exercise and work out. And then I'd seen you, and I can't remember. I think you might have mentioned your channel or something. And I came over, and then saw, look at this guy, big beard all the way down to the middle of his chest and all that, and this guy's pumping up these reps. And I guess I just wanted to ask, so how did this journey start for you? Like, obviously, it's a staple and part of your life now. You do it daily. You've got your children around. You listen out for stuff. But how did this come about?
Well, I've always been a bit of a meathead when it comes to fitness. My first love has always been like training with free weights and so forth. And it got to the point where I was just sort of stuck in that style of training. It wasn't really doing anything for me anymore. I was doing it more so out of habit. And you know yourself, when you've been training for like 20 plus years, it becomes an intrinsic part of your identity. So it's almost like you're not training for the health benefits or the physical benefits, so forth. You're doing it to retain some form of identity. So I was doing this, but I was just going through the motions and I was not really getting anywhere because I had never really bought into it at that point. I had kind of just slipped away. And as I said, I was doing it on autopilot. So basically, I came across a guy on an internet forum. I'd started a training log to keep myself accountable.
Yeah.
And I came across this guy. I don't know his real name, but I know him. He's called The Punisher. and he's also on Reddit. He's Mythical Strength, and he's got a kind of a cult following because he's just very matter of fact with the information that he imparts upon people and so forth. And I started reading this guy's training log, and his mindset just blew me away. He was doing work that I just didn't believe possible. It was flying in the face of everything that I had been led to believe through fitness training, which was like, you need to be recovering constantly. You can't do this because if you do this, it might affect that. You can't do cardio because if you do cardio, you'll lose your muscular gains and so forth. And I looked at this guy, and this guy was doing everything that I had been told that you shouldn't do.
Yeah, right.
And the results the guy was getting was insane. But at the same time, you also seen through the guy's writing style that he just had this like, I don't know how to really describe it, but this just Vulcan, like it was like a fitness Vulcan. There was no emotion connected to his style of training. He was just matter of fact, and I really admired that. It was something I was looking for because my training was almost emotional. It was having an impact on my life. Like I was getting neurotic if I couldn't train because it was just so much ingrained into my life.
Yeah, yeah.
So I read this guy's work and it was blowing me away. And this guy was big on conditioning. He was doing like crazy circuits with kettlebells and burpees and squats, and they were insane. And he was training every day. And he not only was he training every day, but he was training like a madman every day. And I thought, I need to get me a bit of this. So I started taking wee snippets of his training and including it in my own training. And through that, I started doing burpees. Now, I was doing the conventional burpee where you're jumping about and you look like a cat that's fell in a bath and so forth. The burpee that everybody fears. You know that way when you say to people, "Wait, we're going to do burpees," they just go, "Oh, for fuck's sake." And then you see them and they're like, looking like they've just been sent a fucking 10,000 volts up their anus, and they're like a big banana. And so I started doing the burpees, and that was my style of burpee at the start. So I went onto YouTube and I started typing in burpees and so forth. And then I came across the Iron Wolf. And when I watched the Iron Wolf, my mind was completely blown apart. And I think this goes with everybody that sees the Iron Wolf. It just
What's it about it that blew your mind apart when you saw Iron Wolf?
the rawness and the authenticity of his message. There was no ulterior motive. Fitness is so commercial now. It's such an industry. You've got like Gymshark, and you've got like 22-year-olds telling you how to be fit, and it's just this big clusterfuck of corporate bullshit. And here was a guy that had just literally taken a phone and put it on a part of his porch and just filmed himself doing like 90-minute long workouts that just consisted of burpees. And I thought, what the fuck? I've never seen anything like this in my life. So I was captivated.
Yeah.
Plus, I enjoyed his personality. There was no frills and no gimmicks. He was quite straight up. He would just talk to you. He wasn't trying to like be wacky or like just like, you know, that way they just try to stand out. There was nothing to us. The thing that stood out was the hard work. Because everybody respects hard work, and you'll know this yourself. This is what draws you to people in the burpee community. It's that ability to just knuckle down and do hard work. So when I seen that, I just get taken. So basically, I just started like copying Iron Wolf programs and just doing the burpees, like perfecting that 6 count burpee style or the 1 pump burpee style. And to me, learning those style of burpees was like a big release valve. It took a lot of pressure because to refer back to what I said earlier, burpees are a high stress exercise for most people because they don't understand the fact that there's like, if you utilize a certain technique, you can get more out of the exercise.
Yeah.
Instead of just turning it into like a complete, like as Iron Wolf would say, a soup sandwich where you're just flopping about. So just finding these things out in the burpee was just mind-blowing to me. So I started doing the burpees, then the results started happening. Like the results I experienced were insane. I've been training.
What were some of those results, Lee?
Oh, like I just started like shredding up and leaning out and getting stronger, feeling stronger, just feeling more invigoration. I would do 100 burpees in the morning, and I can't even begin to describe the feeling I had mentally when I was going about my business straight after that.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's something you'll have experienced yourself if you perform early morning burpees.
Mm.
It's like you're walking in air, especially when you're just starting out and you're getting the high numbers, the triple digit numbers. It's like just total invigoration. So I was just it was just like it was so intense, everything I was getting from it, and to this day I'm still experiencing that, and it doesn't go away because now we're at a point where you experience a community as well,
Mm.
and everybody knows how hard burpees are, and when you know somebody's doing burpees, you can connect with them on that level because you know what they're going through.
Correct. Yeah.
You know how hard a burpee is. Like you know yourself, right? Like you wake up in the morning, you're right, I'm going to do 300 burpees, man. I'm going to go for it. And you've got
It's
these.
weird, eh? Isn't it? It seems a little bit weird to be excited about and looking forward to getting the burpees done, even though it seems counterintuitive that we realize they're so hard mentally, physically, but you're excited to do them, and that's what I think. That's what I think you and I like about this community.
Oh,
That's what makes
absolutely.
it
I can't get my head around it. I'll lie in my bed at night and I'm thinking these workouts.
so.
And do you know what? There's that mathematical element to the workouts where you're trying to break down reps into like wee systems where you go, right, if I do like 5 chin-ups and I do 10 sit-ups and I do 20 squats, but I times that by 20, then I've got, do you know what I mean? You're accumulating this insane amount of volume.
Yeah.
And it's like the Matrix, you've just got numbers flying everywhere. But the reality is this, right? So you get all pumped up and then you start your burpees, right? And you get to 25 and you're like, fuck,
Why did I do this?
why did I do this? And then you get to 50 and you start coming up with excuses in your head and you're like, right, what can I do to I'm quitting this. This is too difficult. And then you get to 100 and you're like, fuck, right. And then the excuses start getting more and more creative. But like like guys like myself and like you, we've got the accountability of having a YouTube channel as well now,
Yeah.
which is an added stress. So for me personally, like I use that as an accountability tool
Mm.
because if I say at the start, I'm doing this workout, I know I can't go back on that
Mm.
because I don't believe in editing a workout. Like I couldn't edit the workout. I can't even edit the beginning of the workout. Like I can't do an introduction at the end and edit it at the start. It has because I'm total Iron Wolf mindset. It needs to be the porch. The camera gets put down, and you tell the workout, and you stick to it. And
Yeah.
see if you fail, then you put up the fail. You just put it
Mm.
up because you need to show the journey.
Yeah.
We need to see the journey because it's a story.
Yeah. And that's what helps people connect to it, right? Like seeing those things like you just mentioned about Iron Wolf. And who was the first guy? The puncher.
The Punisher,
Punisher.
it's spelled the Punisher, but it's like PWN.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
but it's Mythical Strength on Reddit. It's probably a more easier name to access if you look for that on Google or so
Right.
forth.
Mythical Strength on Reddit. That. But so yeah, it's having that to your point around having that accountability, um, announcing and saying what you're doing, and then yeah, putting up, when you don't reach the target, and who cares? Like the journey is what is intriguing for, well, I think maybe everybody, but certainly for myself, and obviously for yourself as well. And then seeing that, and then striving to achieve whatever that goal is. And so that's what I've admired about your channel. That's what I loved. So sorry, just a bit of backdrop as well for those that are listening. How did we connect and decide to put this podcast together? Well, I think I finished the workout. I said, "Oh well, I was grateful that I could at least get some moving in and sweat a bit and suffer." And then your comment on the video on mine was, "Move, sweat, and suffer." That should be our new tagline. And I was like, "Hey, yeah, I like that." And I was like, "Well, I'm already doing this other podcast." It's like, man, how cool would it be? Maybe we should do a podcast, try to connect with this community, bring them together. I'm going to ask Lee if he wants to be a part of it. And straight away, yeah, there was this connection. Feels like we've been friends for a long time, even though I've
Yeah.
only really gotten to know you. But it feels like we've just been friends for such a long time. And then it was so easy, and then you were on board straight away. And so that's how the Move, Sweat, and Suffer podcast came to be, everybody. Thanks to Lee's idea about the tagline, and then us, just a couple of amateurs, deciding let's put it together. So he hasn't mentioned, but he's got his son's headphones on. Is that right?
Yeah, I was, because like when you told me that I had to use a laptop, or like I could use my phone, but I thought I'll get a laptop out. It's behind the couch,
Yeah.
and it's for 2014 or something like that. And I've got iPhone headphones, which have got that stupid wee input, and I never realised until 10 minutes ago. So I'm up in my son's bedroom. They're like, "Have you got a pair of fucking earphones?" He's sitting there with like some swanky pair of Xbox, and I'm like, "I found these." So this is a total amateur. So but this is the raw and authenticity that we talk about when it comes to burpees, and it extends to the fucking earphones as well. So.
100%, man. And it's so awesome. So obviously you're a trainer by profession, and you've got an interesting backdrop, which I really enjoyed, when we connected and spoke a little bit about it and got to know each other a bit. And you spoke about during that first lockdown, you sort of touched on it, but I think, if you're okay with it, it'd be awesome if you could share that again. When you went into that lockdown and stuff there, gyms weren't open, you decided to sort of stop training and stuff you're talking about. And I guess maybe from a physical perspective, you found yourself just letting yourself go. And I think, that probably relates to a lot of people that might be looking at, because I know some people that have looked at the burpees and stuff that you do, that others do, and go, man, I could never do something like that. And I guess I'd be really keen to hear, because I try to give my 2 cents worth of advice to them, but I'd be really keen to hear your thoughts on, if you were happy to speak a little bit about that journey, about stopping training and how you felt and how you found yourself going, and then being able to get yourself back on track and onto a path right now that is pretty inspiring for people that come along and have a look. So would you be all right speaking?
Of course, of course. Basically, when I was deep into a training cycle prior to the first lockdown. I was doing a bodybuilding style split 6 days a week, and I was on a diet, and it was actually going really well. I was really disciplined. My wife was pregnant with my second child at this point, and we'd get into a good routine with my daughter, sleeping wise and so forth. So we were kind of getting our life back to a certain degree. However, then the lockdown kicked in, and all the gyms closed, and I had no access to any gym equipment, nothing whatsoever. So, and the ironic thing about that is that I did not believe bodyweight training to be a viable option to keep the gains that I was making via the weights, just through that like that mental conditioning of weight training that I'd been utilizing through for 20 years.
Yeah.
That I knew bodyweight training worked, but I just didn't give it the credibility or the respect it deserved, and that was ignorance on my part. I'm actually really, do you know what? I'm actually quite angry at that, because I opportunity in that first lockdown. So basically, what happened was I just stopped training. I just went, you know what, fuck it, because it was a confusing time. We didn't know what was happening. Like, if you think back to that first lockdown, some of the shit that was just going through your head, you thought you were going to die if you touched a door handle or something like that. Be listening to people, and it was just like, oh, this is going to happen, and it was insane. So I kind of just lost the plot, and I went, I'm not training anymore. I'm just going to take a break, and that break turned into 1 week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and I started going into really bad habits, chocolate every night. Boredom was kicking in, and so you were looking for things to do, and like, our lockdown wasn't as bad as it's made out to be. We could still walk to the shops and so forth. So like every night I was going to the shops for like sweets and stuff like that. So I had worked my way down to 70 kilos. But see, by the end of the first lockdown, I was 85 kilos, man.
Wow, far out.
I gained like crazy, but it was the gains that you just don't want to be making in life.
Yeah.
So I got quite portly. I mean, my wife's got a photograph. We went to a caravan park, and this was the end point. I was in a caravan park with my wife, and like she took a photo of me, and I was sitting up at the fence with my stepson, and I just looked like utter shit. I was just standing back there, and my belly was just pumped out and so forth, and I'm sitting in this caravan, and I'm eating a Tesco oven pizza, and I'm going, nah, this isn't me, man. This isn't me. So basically, so I thought, fuck it, just take action, man. Fortunately, it was a Sunday, and you always know Monday's the best day to get shit started.
Yeah.
So I was like, right, see you tomorrow. I'm going to a gym. I'm going to find access to a gym somewhere or equipment. And I did. I managed to gain access to a gym,
Yeah.
and I just started training. And it was like, it was like Rocky. It was like, do you know what I mean? I was just getting into the spirit of it again. And yeah, man, that kind of just took me on that path and got me back on the road because I knew I had to take action. And the catalyst for me was just seeing that photograph. I think that's quite a common one for a lot of people. But I just never felt good. I felt like, do I just felt like shit basically. Like slow, turgid, not in a good place mentally because my identity was like getting lost again and I wanted it back.
Yeah.
So,
Man, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Lee. And so, with regards to then, you've come across the Punisher, you've come across the Iron Wolf. When you saw, maybe say it was 300 or 500 Navy SEALs or whatever the number was, how did you approach stepping into this world? Did you just go, okay, I'm going to blast myself straight away and do 1,000 burpees or 500 Navy SEALs? How did you step into it?
I just like, I think I just went for the 100 a day approach because I knew 100 was a number that I would throw out to people in fitness classes years ago, and I would do it for my own set. Like I would just like most of my fitness classes, I don't plan. I do them on the spot. And one thing like I like about being a fitness instructor, or one of my beliefs is that you need to work people hard in a class, and the reason you need to work them hard is because although they may not work as hard as you like, they're going to try and get there. So their effort is going to be amplified and so forth. I'm not a back rub sort of guy. I don't believe in this whole back rub. Yeah, man, just take one step at a time and yeah, just get to the gym and, and that's done. I don't believe in that. I think that that's just it's like a false, it's like a fantasy you pump out to sort of get people into the gym and make them feel like good about what they're doing. But it's not going to garner results. I think the only way you get results is by working really hard. So my fitness classes were always hard. I would always drive people into the ground, and like at the end, I would just throw right 100 burpees, guys, and you would watch them like dying and so forth. But I always thought to myself, if they're doing it, then I'm going to start at 100.
Yeah.
So I just stuck with 100, and yourself, you acclimatise to that volume quite easily.
Yeah.
Plus, I had a wee conditioning background through following like the Punishers training protocols and so forth. So that was a good base for me to start. I wasn't going on blind to 100 burpees like a lot of people. Like I personally, if I was advising someone, I'd probably say about 50 burpees.
Yeah.
I would never say start at 100 burpees a day because that will mess people up for the most part.
Straight away, even on the mental side, they're going to be like, what?
Absolutely, because they've got no system. They're going into it blind, and and you'll know this yourself with your like 300 mission right now. That you need to, you start to learn there's like the intricacies of the burpee process, which is pacing, technique,
Yeah.
just getting that flow. I mean, my first burpees looked like shit. I looked like I was trying to have sex with a barber's floor. Do you know what I mean? I'm flopping about and all that. But you know yourself, it's like 2 or 3 weeks in, man, it's like something like a kung fu movie. You're just in and out, in and out. The technique is clean, the reps are clean, everything starts to click together. You start to almost get your own wee signature style on the burpee.
Yeah, that's true. Eh?
Everybody I watch, sorry,
No, no, go. Everybody.
ev- everybody I watched on a burpee has got their wee flourish. They've got their wee style and their wee technique, and the key is to maintain that technique. And this is what I loved about the Iron Wolf putting out those standards. The
Yeah.
last rep has to match the first rep.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? It creates I don't know. It just creates a beauty to the whole process.
It is, eh? It's very cool, and it adds another level of that accountability that you've spoken about so well so far as well. Hey, with your descriptive words that you use, I want to jump into that because you do some writing, right? You do some writing for an article or a magazine or an online.
Yeah,
Can you talk a bit about that and what that's about? Because that I
yeah.
think that's a large part of, um, for me anyway. When I've read some of your stuff, it's a large part of your personality. It comes through. Oh, and it's gold. I'd love for you to speak a bit about that. Who you write for, what you write about. Specifically.
I used to like be an avid writer when I was like a kid, but it was just something that I'd lost as like teenage years and so forth, and started
Right.
becoming an adult. It's just something I never indulged in. But I was all my dad, who was like the biggest reader of all time. He was always trying to get me to write. He was always giving me books to read and so forth. Uh, and I started writing wee fitness pieces for a website that I created myself, like a blog.
Yeah.
And my dad was always like, "You need to keep writing. You're really good at this." But you know yourself. You listen to your dad, and he's just saying that because he's my dad. Fuck's sake, I'm not interested. Do you know what I mean? But this guy got in touch with me. I wrote an article because I'm quite pessimistic when it comes to fitness. And when I say that, I mean more the culture of fitness. I don't identify with it. It's too glossy. I mean, you look at me, I look like the fucking dwarf, the golden axe. Like, there's no, I'm not a gym shark guy. You know what I mean? I'm a gym blubberfish guy. Like, so, so basically, I was like, this. I wrote a piece about how fitness is just fucking shit. It's just all about fucking motivational quotes and self-help bullshit and so forth. And a guy came across it who ran a website called Gym Talk, and he was like, "Listen, dude, I really love that what you wrote. Would you write a piece for me?" And like he started actually paying me for the articles, and I was like, I'm getting fucking paid to write. I can't believe this shit. There's probably people that are like been writing all their life and they've never been paid to write. So I snapped up the opportunity. So I pump out an article for them periodically, and like yourself, I've got I like to write in a certain way. Do you know what I mean? It's just like because I'm a big believer in you need to write like the way you speak.
Yeah.
You need to write.
Exactly.
Your writing is your voice.
Yeah.
The same as your YouTube channel is your voice.
Mm.
It's your connection to the world, and you need to make it as much as you as possible.
Yeah.
And I think that's a thing that's lost in people when the Burpee journey, because I mean I'm going on a tangent here, but I see a lot of videos and channels, and it's just guys like they put up like one thing that drew me to your channel was like you were like you were talking to the camera, and that's a big bonus for a lot of these Burpee videos. A lot of people just don't have the I don't know if it's the confidence, but they just don't like speaking in front of a camera because it can be quite difficult.
Yeah. That's true.
Whereas like your video, you were talking and you could tell you were a friendly guy and you were quite, like, obviously you were passionate about what you were doing, but I seen there was a family life as well, and you were bringing that to the table, and that's what draws you in.
Mm.
And I think that people need to use the YouTube channel approach to like convey their voice.
Yeah.
And and I always say like I was consulting with a guy, or we were talking, and like this guy is a complete beast. Like you see some of these guys, right, that are on these
Yeah.
burpees, and they're doing things, and you're like, what the fuck? And they've got like 2 subscribers, and you're like, dude, you are fucking blowing everybody out of the water. Like there's this guy, there's 2 guys, right, that pop to mind. There's 3 guys, right. There's there's a guy called James Bruce, right, who I discovered, right.
Yeah.
He's Aberdeen, right. I won't hold that against him, right, but he's for Aberdeen, right, and he's a Hearts fan as well, right. So I'm not going to hold that against him as well, right. But the guy's a fucking like a unit. The
He is.
burpees he's doing are insane.
Yeah.
15 subscribers or something. I'm like, no, no, no. And then there's a guy called Tone of.
Yeah, it's like, no, we need to draw more attention to this guy. We need to get him on.
Exactly. Well, so I see another guy, Tone of, and like he's just this random guy, and he's just starting his workouts and ending it. And I'm like, dude, you need to fucking put your personality out there, man. That is the only way you're going to get people buying into your journey. Because anybody can just put exercise. Don't get me wrong, his exercises are amazing. His technique's crisp, and the volume is insane, and the times are insane. But you need to convey their personality, because it's not the exercise.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's the personality. And that's ultimately takes me back to my writing, so forth. It's all about the personality. So, yeah, writing is something that I like to indulge in. It's fucking hard as well. It's hard to get in the time to write nowadays.
I bet I was just going to ask you about the hectic with the kids and stuff right now, eh?
That and writer's block as well. So, it's like a deadly combination.
Deadly combination, all right. Far out, man, it's awesome. You know, the people that, as you and I, have been talking back and forth, messaging, etc. We started to reach out to some of this community, and what's really impressed me is their willingness and their positivity around what it is that we're trying to do, b their willingness to support us in what we're trying to do, but c more importantly and more impressive to me and I think to us is that it's coming from a really good, genuine, sincere place, intent of trying to help other people, not not necessarily get on board this journey. If they do, great, they'll be embraced, they'll be welcomed, they'll be valued, they'll be a part of that, etc. But to try to help them move past, whether it's writer's block, whether it's just a lack of motivation, whether it's a fear of thinking, oh man, I could never do that, but you can start with one, start with 5 a day, start with build up to 10, whatever that is, however your journey looks. You know, what I found here is there's people that are absolute machines, like what you've talked about, and I consider you one of those, and there's many others. Then you got like next level Iron Wolves and James Bruce and all those sort of guys, Burpees, Ikram, and all these sorts of people.
Yeah.
And you just look at them and think, wow. And then you've got other people that are, you know, they might be carrying injuries, or they're just literally starting out, whether they're male or female, doesn't matter. And just support that I've seen on the comments to those people, from people like yourself, like, awesome work, man, way to get the work in, well done, keep smashing, keep pushing, you know, the results will come. And that sort of blew me away, because when I looked at that, I thought, I was quite judgmental and negative about it. I was like, oh, if people can't get off their backside and go train, well then they can, you know, there's plenty of other people out there that can help motivate and inspire them and that sort of stuff. And it wasn't until a conversation with a friend of mine, and I'll get to where I'm going with this soon. I want to ask you if yours is similar. Had a friend of mine speak to me and said, oh, why don't you put this stuff on YouTube? And I was like, what for? And he goes, oh, it might help people. And I was straight away, my military brain kicked in, and I was like, blinking, and I was quite sort of rude. And I said, well, no, if they can't be bothered getting off their own backside and putting in the work, like, what's my video going to do for them? That was my narrow-minded view and take on it. Have you felt that through your stuff that you do, Lee? Have you found the feedback that you've gotten? Because I've read some of them and I know it is, but how has that impacted you in a way does that motivate you to want to keep going, to want to keep putting out more, to want to keep showing your struggles, your journey?
Absolutely. Like I couldn't agree more. I think to me the comments that I get and the support is rocket fuel. I mean, you go into this blind, you go into it like you said, you don't like how am I going to make somebody do this and that? But then you spark that reaction in some person, and it just becomes like a domino effect. More and more people get involved and so forth, and you realise that then we have got the power to take our ideas through the passion that we have like behind it, and impart that passion and share it with people and hopefully set a spark and just kind of just initiate that first burpee and so forth.
Yeah.
And the only way we can do that is by finding something that we are incredibly passionate about and utilizing that passion to just hammer the message home. I mean, this is something I'm noticing as well in my place of work.
Yeah.
I was in a like a dull sort of spell in work where I wasn't really helping people get to where they wanted to be. I was just going through the motions with my job and so forth. But now I'm at a point where I'm going and I'm looking for guys and I'm seeing them doing these kind of just cookie cutter shitty workouts with no intensity, and I'm going up to them and saying, "Listen, you should try a wee burpee and so forth." But the thing is, I'm coming for like a place of passion. I'm not going up to them saying, you should just try burpees. They're really cool, right? Talk to you later. I'm like, listen, you need to hit the burpees hard because this is why. And I'm telling them why. And I'm telling them why because this is what it's doing for me. This is what it's doing for my mind. This has completely changed my mindset. I mean, to tie into like to what you were saying there a minute ago when you were talking about levels, when you've got like elite level, you've got Iron Wolf and Burpees Ikram. And Burpees Ikram's another guy that's got to he just makes videos. He doesn't talk. He needs to start talking because he will go. I've never seen a guy like that in my life.
But
Yeah.
you know what? Just on that point, his is it's still for me anyway, so captivating. I'll sit there and watch it and go, what the hell? When is he going to slow down? When is he going to have a break? He's not breaking. He's still going.
Yeah. But you're seeing that for like the Burpee viewpoint.
Yeah.
Because you can, I empathise with that pain, although it doesn't look
Yeah.
painful to him. He's like James Bond doing burpees. He's just so light and springy. He's like the guy done 500 Navy SEAL 30 days in a row. I
Yeah.
mean, so, but the one thing that we all have in common as guys who do burpees is our mindsets are all the same. And burpees are a mindset exercise. They've obviously they're highly physical and so forth, and they're taxing on the body, but they are primarily for me a mindset exercise. If you can master high volume burpees, your mindset is going to go in a direction that you probably wouldn't have thought possible at one point, which is going to have a really, really positive impact on other facets of your life. Definitely your fitness and your ability to get results from the work you put in. And that
100%. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, carry on.
you need to master the mindset, and burpees is the exercise that allows you to do so. 99% of people that go into commercial gyms and so forth, the exercises that they do, the fitness programs that they follow, don't cultivate that mindset because there's too much rest. There's too much sitting about. Like it's like everything's viewed through the. Yep, absolutely. Everything's viewed through the lens nowadays of weight training. You need to do weight training. It's the best way to look jacked. It's the best way to get fit. It's the best way to lose fat. Everything's fucking weight training, and I love weight training. It's my first love, but it's not the be all and end all. But I don't believe now, having did what I did for like 20 odd years and what I do now, that just training exclusively weights cultivates the mindset that you need to really, really get the juice out of what you're doing, and you need to add burpees to your weight training. If you take the burpee and add it to your weight training, then your weight training is going to go to the next level as well. Because when you can do 1,000 burpees, then are you trying to tell me that doing 3 sets of 10 on a bench is like, like come on to fuck here? Do you know what I mean? Like you can squeeze out an extra 10 now because you've experienced real pain. No this momentary pain that you get that lasts for fucking 10 seconds. So the burpees cultivate the mindset which you can take into the other aspects. Because I still weight train personally. I love weight training. Like weight training is the best way to build muscle.
Yeah.
But if you combine it with a burpees program, then your muscle growth potential is going to blow up exponentially. In my opinion, I'm sure you'll get a lot of science guys that will argue with that, but in my opinion, I believe that would be a great addition to a weightlifting protocol. But yeah, once again, I'm going on a tangent here.
You're all good.
But to answer your question, yeah, the mindset is the connection that binds us all together. That's why we all get in touch with each other, and that's why this channel is it's like, to me, I think, like, if you've got a voice, if you've done the Burpees, then we want to hear your story,
Yeah.
because it doesn't matter, like, if you've got like 2 subscribers on YouTube or 2 followers. We don't care. All we care about is the journey you've went through
Yeah.
and how it makes you feel, and how you want to use it to make other people get started on their journey.
Beautiful, man. That's so well put. So beautifully put. Like 100% agree with everything you've just mentioned. And I love, when you talk about that mindset and developing that, you're right. It will then permeate into all other aspects of your life, whether that's with your work, you got a challenge or difficulty at work, like, I've done X amount of whatever that is, or that burpee, that mindset, that was difficult, that was challenging, that was hard. It permeates and comes into your work, and it helps you. Well, it does for me anyway. It helps me to be able to just, that's not that hard. Like, that's not that too difficult. Like, it's not that difficult. We can work through that. We can work through this. And you start to, like, linking in the stuff that you've mentioned, you start to find solutions, or your rhythm, or your pattern, or your style, that might not look the same as, what you call it, like a cat jumping in the water.
That was my mate. My mate came out with that one, and it always stuck with me. Like, he's, "Ah!"
Yeah, I can picture that. But all of those things, it does, and you can use it. You can use it to your advantage in a lot of really good ways. You can use it to your advantage, like what you've just done now with your conversations with people, to help try to work with them, to try to find a solution, to help them come up with a way to address that issue or that problem. In this case here, in the space that we're looking at, is 100% wanting to hear their journey, how it makes them feel, how they could potentially positively impact and help others through their journey. Because we might have people that, to your point, some might only have 2 subscribers or 15 subscribers or whatever, and they may only be able to do, they may be only on a journey of 5 or 10 burpees a day, but they've been doing it consistently now for X period of time, and these are the results that they've found, because it's a powerful tool, man.
That is a powerful tool.
Yeah, until you do them, and until you start doing them consistently, and until you start doing them at high volume stages, then you don't realize, that the impact that it has, like what you've just touched on and talked about.
Absolutely, and like, you've got to have fun with them as well. I mean, I've got a guy right now who's just started. I've like advised. I'm helping one of my friends get involved with his Burpees journey. His name's Ten Stretch, and he's kind of lost his way a wee bit. He's a guy I work with. He's a gym instructor, but he's kind of lost his mojo for fitness and so forth. But like, I could see he was kind of like picking my brain about the Burpees and so forth. And I says to the guy, you need to get a YouTube channel started, and just start with the Burpees.
Yeah.
And I think he was a bit apprehensive, but so when you watch his videos now, he was all over the shop at some points. But you know what? I was finding it funny, and I says, you need to just fucking put yourself out there, and you will find it funny, because that's part of the journey. Like, nobody watches Rocky, right? And the first training, he's trying to catch it. He just catches the fucking chicken, right?
Yeah.
We watch him like falling over himself trying to catch the chicken, right? And he's like fucking making an absolute like dickhead out of himself, right? But that's what makes the training montage. We need to see you make a complete arse of it, because we need that reference point to build the story. That's the story is key. It's like people come into the gym, like in my work or whatever, the gyms I work in, and they're always like, oh, but I don't want to do this until I get, and like, I want to get really fit before I can do that and so forth. And I'm like, listen, embarrass yourself at the start, because you need that reference point to look back at and see where you started. There's nothing more boring than some like Ivan Drago comes in and he's just a fucking machine for the start. Do you know what I mean? He's on that fucking thing where he turns. Do you know what was that exercise all about? And it's just,
I can tell you're a Rocky fan. Like,
mate, who isn't he, mate? Anybody all the age of 35 isn't a Rocky fan. I like, come on, Rocky 2 training montage. That's the best one. But we need that reference point. So like I would say to anybody, if you're starting on your Burpee journey, see if you look like a soup sandwich at the start. That's even better. That's what we want. We want that. Like we want that pain.
Yeah. We want-
We want that pain.
we can relive that moment. We can connect with that in so many different ways.
Absolutely. I was looking at one of my first YouTube videos there the other day, and it was like the first one I ever put out was my 300 burpees. Jesus Christ, man, I was dying. Even watching the video, like I was in a world of fucking pain. Do you know that way? Like I was actually laughing at myself watching it. Like my kids are about running about, and I'm trying to fucking dodge them. And my son as well. He's like in his walker. He walks now, but he's in his walker. And I'm thinking, not only is like, is this my journey? This is his fucking journey as well. He's walking now. Like he's in a walker.
Grow up.
Hi, so you're watching the wee guy grow up. He's like a fucking like a wee kid you get in a soap opera. Like you watch them grow up.
Okay, but man, and just your personality is really what would you call it? Magnetizing. It draws me in. Like when I watch it and see, and then I see your kids running around, and then I hear the accent. And I just think, man, this is gold. Like I could just sit here and listen to this guy, and you're right. It is like my own little. As sad as it sounds, it is my own little soap opera. I'll like watch you, or like
Yeah,
I watch Busy Dad, I watch all these other people, Derek Towers, and all those sorts of things.
yeah,
James Bruce, got Fitness Throttle, Elaine Fiddick,
yeah,
so many just awesome people out there, and they seem to be, at least in my view, genuinely good people like yourself. And I think this is part of why we're doing this, right? To bring this community together and hear their story.
yeah, absolutely. And like to expand on what you were saying there as well, I watched the video you did with your daughters, and I thought, and I can see, I think your daughter threw a strop at one point, and you had to coax her, and I thought, do you know what, that's brilliant. Like that is what it's all about. Like just that teenage girl fit or something like that. She's just gone mental, and I mean, I've got a daughter that's 2, and it's murder. I can only imagine what I like at that age.
No, that's a good point because it's interesting that you mentioned that because I think this hopefully will help and ties in, and it's to your points that you've been talking about as well. But my daughter, when she had that little dummy spit at that moment, she was, and I asked her, she said she was looking at it. Well, she didn't say it like this, but she goes, she looked at the big number, the total number, which was 300, which was the first time I got them to do 300 in one sitting. We broke it up, but I said, darling, you just need to just break that up and just focus on the first 5, then the next 5. We were doing sets of 15.
Yeah,
So do the first 5, then the next 5, then the third 5, then we rest for 45 seconds or whatever it was. And with that little bit of counsel and talk and encouragement, helped a little bit, but not that much, to be honest, you're saying at the end. But I think that's just the stage of where she's at. She's 14 years of age. That was the older one, the older daughter in that time, the other one's 11. But I think sometimes we can overwhelm ourselves, right? We look at this big, massive number. Oh, 500, I could never do 500. 1,000, no, I can't do 1,000. But when you get into it,
yeah,
even though some of the excuses might be happening in our mind, how can I get out of this? What can I say? I gotta hold the I loved what you were saying. I gotta go to the top. My wife needs me. All those things can flutter through your mind. But when we try to break that down and just focus on that next rep and that next rep, like one foot in front of the other, it's been a big help for me. What are your thoughts on that, Lee?
Oh, I continuously go through shit in my head to like stop a workout. There's workouts I've done that have been so brutal at times. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, this is insane. I'm actually going to damage myself here. But then I always think about, sorry.
No, sorry. I'm going to let you carry on. I just had an idea. I just wanted to spit it out before I forget. We should do some videos on excuses to get out of it.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Like, oh shit, I forgot what I was. Aye, right, but I always think about Iron Wolf. Like, what would Iron Wolf do? Iron Wolf is even when you read his comments and so forth, he's not like he's a gunnery sergeant, so he doesn't suffer fools gladly. and you know he just would not tolerate that shit. And you know, I think I'll be fake. Like my channel will die if I come up with an excuse and stop a workout, and that's
Yeah.
always what keeps me going. It's that accountability to the people that are watching. I set a standard for myself, and I've got to follow it. Now, don't get me wrong. If I've got to stop a workout, if I fail, I'll put it up. And I'll put my hands up and say it was too hard and so forth, because you need to have that human element as well. You can't, like, I don't, like, the cyborg approach is probably quite, it would be hard to buy into. You need to show that human side as well, where you do fail in some workouts. Not too often, but it happens. I would always put it up there. You just need to show that side, that, like, because that's part of the journey, as we always go
Yeah.
back to say. But yeah, you've just got to keep yourself accountable. You've just got to. A big part for me is what I like to call dark place engagement, and I've got these sort of this pseudoscience that runs through my head to kind of justify why I'm doing. Well, sorry, what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And I'm not saying it's true, but these are the things that keep me going. These are the things that I buy into. And I genuinely believe, like, as human beings, we need to conserve energy. I think that our physiological responses, or psychological responses and physiological responses, are deeply rooted in our ancestors. However, society round about us has changed, but our bodies and our hardware and software hasn't really changed.
Mm.
And the voice in our head will always tell us to stop, because it needs to conserve energy for stuff that really matters, like sourcing food and gathering resources and procreating and so forth. The stuff that sustains life. Burpees don't sustain life; they end your fucking life. Alright. So your head is going to tell you to stop doing burpees, right? But most people listen to that voice. That voice, like, it does not apply in the fitness setting, because
Mm.
I can just walk down to McDonald's and get a fucking Big Mac. I don't
Yeah.
have to go out and kill some animal, which will take 2 days worth of hunting and so forth, and massive calorie expenditure. That's there. So when I hear that voice, and I know something good's going to start happening physically at that point and mentally. So I like to call that dark, and this is something I always talk about in my Instagram channel. I always make wee videos and so forth,
Yeah.
and I always like to talk about what I call dark place engagement. And I think
Okay.
yeah, what I stress to people is once that voice kicks in your head and starts to tell you to stop, then that's when the magic is starting to happen. And you then need to sustain your presence in that zone. And burpees are the perfect exercise. Well, perfect exercise in terms of accessibility. I mean, I've done other cardio endeavours throughout my training sort of history. I've done cycling, like, and cycling is fucking brutal, man.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever been, like, on a long cycle?
No, I haven't. I haven't been on a long
Right,
cycle. No.
cycling's one of the really fucking weird exercise, or like activities, where you have got childhood memories of it, and you think, "Oh, great, a bike! I'm going to go for a bike ride,"
Yeah.
and then you hit your first hill, and like, you think, like, when I was last on a bike, I could cycle all day. I was just cycling about the streets and so forth. And then you hit your first hill, and this fucking dose of reality hits you, like 25 burpees reality. And you're trying to cycle up a big hill, and it just completely kills you. So that's another activity where dark place engagement kicks in. But burpees are the most accessible because they can be done anywhere. If a
Yeah.
guy can do an exercise in a prison cell, then it's the most accessible exercise available to us.
Mm.
Burpees allow us to sustain our presence in the dark place, which is where the magic happens. And that is where we need to keep our presence if we want to truly experience results. And I'm talking about the results that most people want. They want to look good, they want to be really fit, like really fit. They want to get their resting heart rate down into the 40s or 30s or so forth.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
only way to get there is training like an absolute fucking maniac. And that's just the short shrift of it, in my opinion. I'm sure
Yeah.
people will disagree, but I never experienced true results until I started training. Like that guy that I read, The Punisher,
Yeah.
and doing burpees like the Iron Wolf, and these guys train like absolute animals.
Awesome, man. Great insights, Lee. Awesome to hear those thoughts and comments. And you touched on. I love that dark dark place engagement. It's true. Those are things that we, if you give us the easy option, the harder option, the easy option, we're probably going to look to try to take the easy option almost every time. But when you're stuck in that moment, in that small space, or doing those burpees, like you've got to engage with it, right? You've got to keep going. You've got to either complete what you say you're going to do, or you look like somebody that lacks integrity and honesty and doesn't follow through on
Yep.
what they say they're going to do,
Yep.
and therefore that's then the persona that gets put out. Or you don't care, you stop worrying about what other people think, you focus in on your journey, your purpose, your mission, your why for what you're trying to do and achieve. And if you look like what did you call it, a sandwich?
A soup sandwich. That's an Iron Wolf line.
Yeah, if you look like a soup sandwich, if you look like this, Mr. Potato Head or whatever, wobbling around trying to do your stuff, right? And if you worry about that, what everybody else is thinking, that's going to hold you back. You're going to prevent yourself from achieving the things that you're wanting to try to achieve, and you're giving others that are not part of your life a certain power over you, because now you're starting to withdraw. You're like, oh, I'm worried about what that person, these people that you haven't even met, that you don't even know, you haven't
Oh, absolutely.
they just type something in there, and it's like, man, just don't worry about those. Get into the groove of what it is that you're trying to do. Keep those videos up of where you failed, put them up,
Yeah.
and then see your journey and progression and go far out. I turned up every day. It took me a hell of a long time to get to where I am, but this is where I am now, and who knows where I could be going forward, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's an interesting point where the thoughts and the words of others can become like an obstacle that
Yeah,
stop you from progressing. The-
yeah,
to go back to my inspiration via the Iron Wolf and seeing him put that in the porch, I always knew that I had a bit of content in me, and I always knew that I had something to offer, but I was always worried about things that never mattered. How was I going to look on camera? Did I have enough knowledge? Would people be able to understand my accent? And do you know what? When I seen that, I thought, fuck that. Why am I even giving a shit? I'm a 40-year-old man, and I'm fucking like, I'm trying to set an example to my kids. Like, don't listen to what other people have got to say. Don't care what they say about you. Just lead your own life. And I'm too shit scared to make a YouTube channel because I'm scared that some fucking troll might hurt my feelings. Like, some guy told me the other day that he was going to drag me to hell, grab me by my beard and drag me to hell. And I'm thinking, what the fuck? But yeah, but that's what stopped. And I thought, when I seen him with that in the porch, I thought, nah, fuck this, man. I want some of that shit. I want some of that shit. And do you know what? It was the best thing I did.
yeah. That's
Because I
awesome.
wouldn't be talking to you if I hadn't done it. If I hadn't done it, do you know what I mean?
100%. Oh, far out, man. It's been such a blessing, and for me anyway, to connect with you, to see and follow along in your journey, and watching your children grow up in and around the home. You get everything. You see the children are sick. You're sick, man. You sounded blocked up and terrible the other day when I was
Oh,
listening
I was
to do the
dying.
basement push-ups. Man, so I'm glad to see it looks like you're doing a bit better now. I'm sure
Yeah,
that's
I'm feeling a wee bit better, a wee bit better.
yeah,
But I think I've
good.
passed on to my wife now, so I don't think she's too happy
That's what
about
happens,
that.
hey. In the
That's
family,
what
it just
happens.
does the rounds.
Like
Man,
she's like, you're no sick. You know, your wife never believes you're sick. Like you could basically wake up with your fucking arm hanging off, and your missus is like, nah, because she thinks you're basically trying to shuck your parental or house responsibilities. That's mindset for wives or whatever. But I'm kind of thinking in my head, you better hope you don't fucking catch this call, darling,
yeah, that's right.
because it's a killer. It's a killer.
Oh man, and so yeah, and so it was good to hear you as well. Say you're going to take a couple of days break, because
Well, yeah,
as much, yeah, and as much as to your point, as much as we want to keep pushing and we keep trying to find a way, and you show up each day. I think it isn't, well, not I think, it is important. Like sometimes we've got to listen to that body, right, and go far out.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I mean,
well,
it is
you know yourself, you do pick up wee niggles
yeah.
during your burpee journey, like your shoulders can start to feel a bit weird, your chest. And by the way, I'm a bit pissed off with Iron Wolf because that program that I did the other day, he was stressing this is the way to do pull-ups and press-ups without getting any next day pain. I'm in absolute bits the fucking day. See in here in my back, Jesus Christ, man! Like I'm domed out my fucking head. And I'm like, you've fucking lulled me into a false sense of security, Iron Wolf.
We can hit him up. You can hit him up about that if we're lucky enough to get him on the pod.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that. It's something that
Yeah.
I would have to have a few strongly chosen words to throw in his direction about how he rendered me incapable.
Awesome. And so, yeah, I guess probably just a couple of last couple of things that I've got for you, Lee, and then
Yeah,
we'll
sure.
probably look to wrap up and then invite out to people and stuff that are out there in this amazing community. What would be what would be your top tips? Let's limit it to your three, and you've probably touched on them already, I would imagine, but I'm not going to go and regurgitate them right now. I want to hear from you, and maybe through this conversation, some other thoughts have come to mind on your side. But anybody that's looking to start out in doing high rep volumes, whether they're or in terms of burpees and that sort of stuff, or high rep calisthenics in general, whether they're looking to, you know, do a YouTube channel, or whether they're just wanting to just improve themselves physically, mentally, whatever that case might be, what would be your three top tips that that Lee Hazard would look to impart and share with them to help put them on that journey, or to help keep them on that path?
First one would be, it's probably the easy one is just take action. Just fucking take action, man. Just do it, Nike. There's a reason that's a statement. Just do it.
Yeah,
Don't dither. Do not dilly dally. Nobody likes a ditherer. People want to see leaders. People want to see people that lead. Just fucking do it, man. Start burpees. No one cares about your numbers. Just get started. If it's 10, it's 10. If it's 20, it's 20. If it's 5, it's 5. Just get fucking started. The habit is key. Doing them on a daily basis and experiencing that post burpee high is what's going to drive you forward. And you're not going to experience it if you don't do it. So you just need to take action.
awesome, beautiful. Take action. Love it.
Number two, I would say find a system and stick to it rigidly for the first few weeks. The problem with burpees is that people, they, like you said with your daughter, they get that number and it can mess with their head. So you need to find a system, and I am really good at this, of getting high volume through small numbers.
Yeah,
And you need to find a system and stick to it. And this is where I give a shout out to the Busy Dad. The Busy Dad, like, is a guy who I've really connected with. I really enjoy his channel. He's got a really nice personality. He's so English. Uh, he's like, do you know what I mean? He's like just so English. And I know, hello.
dads everywhere. And but it's awesome, man. Oh, that was waiting for you to do it with your Scottish accent.
No,
You
no.
didn't, you didn't do it.
Busy Dad, he took principles that were kind of common in like most fitness endeavours, but it was just like a wee light bulb going in my head. And
Yeah,
what happened with me was I was doing burpees in like a gym, and I had you always have that bad day on burpees where you go, this is fucking brutal, man, what am I doing? And I had that set and I was blown out every hole in my body. And the Busy Dad just popped in my head because I knew he'd done this video where he explained why had a system where he was trying to condense the volume into a shorter space of time.
yeah,
And you do it by basically if you're starting with 50 burpees on your journey, do 10 burpees, rest for a minute, do another 10 and repeat that system and start to manipulate the recovery times between sets, and that will allow you to get the work in over a shorter duration of time, which will increase your fitness and give you the confidence to start to move on to the. So I would find a system. I probably use Busy Dad's system or the principles that he uses,
yeah.
which is get the number, break it down, manipulate the recovery, and just work from there.
Beautiful.
Don't rush. Don't like try and like get, because like 10 stretch, my mate's doing this now. He just wants to get 1,000 burpees. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
calm down, mate. It's like that. It's like that joke where there's two bulls in a field, and this is a dirty joke by the way, right? There's two bulls in a field, and they see this field of cows, and the young bull says, "Let's go down there and fucking like bang one of the bulls," and the dad bull says, "No, let's just walk down and bang them all." You know what I mean? It's like just take our time and go with it. If we take our time, we'll hit the reps eventually. So take your time. Don't
Yeah.
go, I need to get my first 1,000, because it can be, you know yourself, like, I seen that video you did where you did 1,000, but I was like, holy shit, he just done 1,000 unbroken. What the fuck? That is insane. But I just take your time.
Yeah.
Don't try and get to the high numbers. Just just get there nice and slow. Let your body accumulate the volume and so forth. Or acclimatise. Number three is learn to pace your burpees as well. Pacing's key. And this goes back to the cat in the bath explanation. Like when I would tell people, do like 100 burpees, they would just look like the cat in the bath because they wanted to get to 100 quickly because they know it's a horrible exercise.
Mm.
Don't do that. Focus on the pace. If you watch Diane Wills videos or other burpee practitioners, you'll see them like running in between burpees, or they'll do the stomach strikes, or they'll clasp their hands. They'll start to like utilize like knee raises, it's like cues to just kind of get that nice pace between burpees and allow them to accumulate volume over time. So that's probably the third tip I would give. Learn to find a pacing system as well to sort of make the experience more palatable in the initial phase where it can be really daunting.
Awesome, man. Great tips. Take action. Find that system that works. And you reference Busy Dad. Shout out to Busy Dad with regards to what he does. It's excellent. And then that pacing and finding your rhythm, right? And you alluded to it right at the start. Everybody's got their own style, their own quirks of how they move and how their body moves and what works for them. And that's a beautiful thing. Man, great advice, Lee. I've enjoyed this, man. I've got so
Yeah, me
much out of
too.
it. And I think, well, not I think, I hope and we hope that our listeners, our audience will take from this as well. And I'm looking forward to the people that you interview on this
Yeah.
podcast. So Lee will be doing some of those. And to the community out there, to this burpee community, these amazing people, men and women out there that are putting in the work, that are turning up each day, that are leading, as Lee has mentioned, that are setting a wonderful example, regardless of what stage or level of fitness or ability we're all at. It's incredible. We look forward to connecting with you. We look forward to having a laugh with you and hearing your story and hearing your different accents as well. And just getting this news out there to hopefully help our audience connect and build and grow and develop in more ways than just the physical, but the mental aspect, and being able to take that and apply that in your lives. So I think I'll let Lee wrap up with any final words that you want to share with our listeners, and then we'll close it off, brother.
Like I said before, this is a long journey. It's a lifetime journey. People don't get fit and just go, great, I'm fit. I need to just stop this shit and just start doing whatever. It's a lifelong journey. But burpees are the most accessible form of exercise, which is going to give you the best bang for your buck. They elevate your mood. They get you they increase your strength, they increase your cardio performance, they bring down your resting heart rate, they get you muscular, they get you jacked, they lean you out. They've got so many benefits. That's why they do them in the army. That's why guys do them in prison cells. That is why they are the working man's exercise or working woman's exercise or whatever you want to call it nowadays. Yeah, man, just get started. I cannot stress the take action principle enough. Time waits for no man. It's flying by. We don't get any younger. Just get started. You won't regret it. Don't do what I did and wait till I was in my fucking 40s and left a 20 years worth of gains on the fucking table. Do you know what? Just get started, man. Just fucking do it. You will not regret it. You will not regret it. You will only get fit. You will only get fit and you'll be a better person at the end of it. because you become part of a community which is very supportive, very friendly. And do you know what? Like no one is competitive in this community. There's no, I'm better than you, I'm going to beat your numbers. Obviously, there is that wee element, but you're still happy to see people beat your numbers because you know they had to go through a world of fucking pain and shit to get there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's why the word brother is used in the Burpee community. I've never been in a community where everybody calls each other brother. We call each other brother because we are on this, we've been there. We've been in that place. We've engaged that dark place together at some point.
Yeah, 100%. Beautiful, man. Thank you so much, Lee.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've had the privilege of listening to Lee Hazard. This is our very first podcast together for Move, Sweat, and Suffer. We hope that you've enjoyed it. We hope that you can take something away from it, and we hope that you will join us on this journey. We look forward to catching up with you soon. Thanks very much,
Brilliant.
everybody.
Pleasure.